Is the light on? Okay. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Members of the class of 2021, I am happier than I can easily convey how pleased I am that most of us can be here face-to-face and that a few of us can be here remotely when it could so easily have been otherwise. I think you know it was really touch and go right until the last moment, and I'm delighted to have the honour of the closing words. Your time here has been one of many firsts. You are the first graduating class who may have been actually relieved that the IB exams were taking place. You are the first graduating class who ever needed permission to be on campus, as well as permission to go off campus. You are the first graduating class to conduct Project Week a year late in the plaza. And you're the first graduating class to do the wonderful, perhaps new and lasting tradition of walking through the primary and middle school classrooms for the Grand Walk, which we were delighted we were able to do, and which may, as I say, be a lasting tradition. But far more important than the firsts are the things that you have in common with all the students who've gone before you, and in fact, the students that will follow you. You're part of a tradition in that respect. And the things that we can name are obviously the close friendships, the laughter, the antics, and adventures that are probably still vivid to you. The service, artistic, sporting, or other experiences that provided you with so much breadth. The academic immersion and the study of newer perspectives that we hope have provided you with depth. And most importantly, as Pooja said, the close relationships with each other and with teachers and mentors. Those have been terrifically positive, and even where they've been irritating and challenging, we know that the influence of those may be even more valuable. They'll stay with you, the ideas. You won't forget them, and over the years to come, as you grow further into adulthood, they'll stay with you, and they may change you and make you the people you will be in the end. These will all last a lifetime. But for now, the high school years, they're done, they're finished, they're over. So what now? What are you taking away from the high school years today that will be the foundation for what's coming? So many things, of course, but today I want to leave you with two thoughts. And the first one stems from being here today in a once-in-a-lifetime moment. K-12 education for everybody only ends once. And this is it for you, a big day, and it's just finished pretty well. So, is that it, really? Is that all there is? That may be a question that occurs to you across your lifetimes at big events. It does for me. Is this it, really? Is this all? And the answer is always the same. Yes, this is it. This is what it is. That's what it always will be. That's always the answer to that question. And there are two ways of reacting to that. The first one is to build up the days to be miraculous, so that when they happen, this is it. Wow, this is it. Amazing. The second one, and I would suggest to you perhaps a better way, is to find the miracles in the everyday. Don't wait for the big days. Find them in everyday events. So I want to use what I say now to be a platform to pay attention to the everyday a little bit. There are some everyday miracles if you can only bring yourself to see them that way. I'm thinking of simple things. It might be lunch or breakfast with your family. For many of you, you may not have many left because you'll be moving away. It may be a cup of tea in the boarding house, and there are only a few of those left for sure. It may be the laughter of your friends. It may be the flash of pleasant surprise on the face of a stranger who didn't expect your kindness. It might be from seeing and knowing your elderly grandparents, or it might be that you see the miracles in the babies and children and knowing that you were there just a few moments ago. I think everyone here was a baby once, right? And as you get older, you will, like your parents, come to marvel at babies and children. You once had these tiny fingers that have learnt to build, to weave, to type, to swipe, even write exams. And tiny little feet that will one day dance or kick or swim, or, as you've done, walk across a stage like this. These are all marvels. You just have to see them. More generally, some people find their wonder at the oceans or the clouds, or the stars, or the grand trees, or the great music, or poetry, or sports, or theatre, or ideas, or any of those. For teachers, it's the aha moment, which I hope you've all had as well, where something changes forever. You've got something. That's why they call it the aha. It's got that sort of, wow, something's changed. That's a miraculous moment. Einstein said it this way: there are two ways to live your life. One as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Try and see it the second way, if you can. So class of 2021, do not be bogged down in the business of daily life so that you miss the glimpses of awe and wonder that can be found in the everyday moments. Caress those moments if you can. Do not just attend to what's happening in the future and may never actually come to pass, to what you think will happen. Make your way not only by doing and achieving, but also be attuned to the glimpses of wonder and awe. That's my first message. My second message comes to you from a story sent to me just a few days ago by a student I taught many years ago, Monica. I taught her higher level maths many years before you were born, in fact. She did very well. She went to study maths at college, and she now owns her own social enterprise, making and selling lingerie on the east coast of the USA. Let no one tells you that career paths are linear. From abstract algebra to underwear, whoever said that maths wasn't sexy? A noble path. Good for her. If you want to look it up, Maison Noël is her business, and she's doing very well. Have a look at the stuff. For whatever reason you choose to. Anyway, here's the story. Some of you may have heard it before. It was new to me when I heard it, but I understand it's a common story. So let me explain it, and let's just tell you then some of the things I think we can learn from it. There's a young boy on a beautiful beach. It's the middle of the day, and he's throwing the starfish into the ocean. He takes a starfish, throws it into the ocean, bends down, picks up another one, throws it in. He just keeps on doing it. An older man approaches the young boy and says, "What are you doing?" So the boy says, "The tide is low, the sun is high, and if I don't throw the starfish back into the ocean, they're going to shrivel up and die." The man looks up and down the shoreline, and he sees the scores and scores of the starfish, and he says, "But there's millions of them. There's no way you can get them all back. Do you really think you can make a difference?" So the young boy stops, and he looks at the starfish in his hand, and he looks at the man, and he throws the starfish, and he picks up another one, and he keeps throwing. And he says to the man, "You know, I don't know, but I know I made a difference to these ones." So a lovely, simple story with a very obvious message. I hope it's familiar to you. Do what you can, do it when you can. The fact that you can't fix everything doesn't mean you shouldn't fix something. Obvious, simple enough. I don't intend to labour it. But I think there's something more important. And here I draw on the work by two scholars, Campbell and Manning, who look at how people relate to each other. And I want to look at how the boy and the man related to each other there and suggest to you something which I think has actually pretty important implications for the world today. When you look at politics, when you read the news, you see the way people relate to each other is not always or entirely healthy. And that's a fundamental problem that we hope you'll be able to make a contribution to. So Campbell and Manning talk about three ways of approaching relationships, and they talk about three cultures of relationships, and I think you'll recognize them, and I'll say a little bit about each of them. The first one is called honor culture, and in that honor culture, it's very important that you don't take any slights or disrespect from anybody. In honor culture, people are sensitive to slights and disrespect, and they're keen to maintain their status. And status may come from looks, strength, wealth, jobs, dare I say, even grades. In this culture, we see boasting, we see put-downs, we see posturing, either physical or intellectual. We see it in gangs, we see it in politics, just read the news, and even occasionally closer to home, unfortunately. But it is a dangerous and limited approach. Essentially, it's the language of the playground from little children who don't know any better yet. Had the boy in the story reacted in an honor culture way, he would have cursed the man and just chased him away. He wouldn't have liked to be questioned. The second way of responding is to join what Manning and Campbell call a victimhood culture. And victimhood culture is actually quite similar to honor culture in that, again, status is really important, and a slight is really something to be taken seriously and defended. But the difference is that instead of responding perhaps with aggression, the victimhood culture responds with the claim that with claims of being a victim of mistreatment. And then it focuses on power dynamics to exploit what's called the natural moral currency of victimhood. Let me explain. In the story, if the boy had joined the victimhood culture, seen himself as a victim, He would have had an argument with the man, saying, "You have no right to tell me what to do. You have no authority." And he would have had an argument with the man. But in doing so, he would have missed the fact that the man did not actually tell him what to do. He didn't claim any authority. He merely said, "Is that the right way to do things? Can you make a difference?" He asked him a question. The boy would have got distracted because he'd been too busy thinking that he'd been oppressed by the man. And he would have got distracted from the good work that he was doing. And he'd have wasted his time feeling sorry for himself and feeling angry with the man. And here's the real tragedy of this story. In joining the victimhood culture, the boy would have assumed that the man was not interested in saving the starfish. He would have positioned the man as an enemy. In fact, maybe the man was saying, isn't there a better way of doing this? Could we work together and figure out a better way of doing it? But by being super sensitive to any perceived slight, the boy closes down that opportunity. So I hope you can see why the victimhood culture is as toxic as the honor culture. So the alternative here, and the thing that I leave with you for your thought, is to think about a dignity culture. In a dignity culture, your status comes not from any of the things that we've talked about. It comes from your own internal sense of doing the right thing, while also recognizing that you have to listen to other people. In a dignity culture, you can ignore most slights, you can be less sensitive about differences, and you can recognize that everyone's got their own stuff going on. You don't need to assert power by attacking or cancelling anybody else. Actually, you can resolve most problems by ignoring them, or where necessary, having an open, vulnerable discussion with perhaps mediation if necessary. In a dignity culture, we take very seriously not our status, but the profound responsibility for our actions. And there is a fundamental difference there. We remain humble enough to know that we hold no monopoly on the truth, which is why we seek to recognize multiple viewpoints and respect the rights of everybody to hold their own views, even if we find those views offensive. Thus, a dignity culture means we engage with other people. It doesn't call people out, it calls them in. And the boy in the story worked in a dignity culture. He had his own moral compass, but he listened to the man as well. Now, you'll come across many pressures to join honor or victim cultures. Those cultures may give you a powerful sense of identity and even moral conviction. I'm thinking particularly of social media here. I think you all know the threads of abuse and hate and sort of nonsense that happens when somebody takes a position and everybody wants to call them out or say how wrong they are and so on. I mean, you just have to look at the news and you have to just go onto any social media channel. I think that sense of identity and moral conviction that you can get is a false conviction in many, many cases. And I would urge you to remain steadfast members of the dignity culture. Like the boy in the story, face your challenges with a quiet, thoughtful composure. Don't assume you're right, but think about whether you are right. And when you found what you think is the right thing to do, when you've engaged with other people's ideas, you just stick with it. You don't have to call anybody else out. You just do the right thing yourself with a calm commitment to your own moral mission. That's what the boy in the story did, actually. He responded with an integrity. He didn't dismiss or attack the man. He thought, okay, you said this. I'll think about that. And he may take it on board, he may not. But he said, I hear you, I thought about what you said, and now I'm going to make up my own mind and I'm going to do the right thing because I believe it makes a difference. I would add that I hope for you who've now had an education that seeks to be a force for peace and a sustainable future, that if you were in that position, you might also say, I think it'll make a difference, and would you care to join me? Perhaps we could do it together. Perhaps we could share our ideas and do it together. We can achieve more that way. Class of 2021, I have suggested to you that if you make room for moments of wonder, and if you adopt a dignity culture, then you have every chance of creating the sort of lifetime where you'll leave things better than you found them for you and for everybody who will be lucky enough to cross your path. Across your lifetime, that is a noble goal. And we hope we've helped you start on a good path. Our goal has been to educate you to embrace challenge and take responsibility for shaping a better world. Perhaps throw some starfish into the ocean when you get the chance. Perhaps inspires others to do the same. And I know I speak for the entire college when I say it has been a pleasure and a privilege in helping you on your path. And that's why, as well as the great hopes we have for you, we have even greater trust in you. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you, everyone.